What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Sophisticated Man podcast. Today, I'm joined by yet another guest, Mr. Ryan. What's going on, man?
How you doing?
I'm good, brother. I'm doing well. Ryan is another content creator. He's in the masculinity space, if you would say. I'll leave the floor to him, basically. What do you do, Ryan? Like, just kind of describe to the people who you are, what you got going on, and yeah, how you got into it.
Yeah, I'm into men's self-improvement and dating, and I got into it because I wasn't always good at being a man and good at dating, so I had to learn the hard way. And yeah, I'm 23 years old and living down here in Florida. Went to college, did the whole thing, was supposed to be in order to get back in order to go to grad school I had to be vaccinated, was like fuck that. So now I'm here doing content creation because I think, standing up for your values is one of the most masculine things you can do.
Agreed. Agreed 100%. And I think that's more or less, I think I've told you guys my story. It's somewhat similar in terms of like not feeling enough or not feeling like you're adequate in being a man or even really knowing what that is. And maybe that's something we can kind of start with is like just defining like what it means to be, a masculine man, a high value man, basically a man that's like competent and confident. What does that look like for you? And when did you start to kind of uncover like how that looked in your life?
So a high value man to me is someone that one has purpose, and purpose is something that's not just going to come out and slap you in the face. You're going to have
Yeah.
to find that yourself. You're going to have to dig into things that you find interesting and then build on that. So like a lot of people are like, what's my purpose? I can't find my purpose. It's like, no, you have to go find it yourself. It's not going to just come and knock on your door.
Hmm.
So you have to have that purpose, and you have to have a lot of drive, and a lot of these things that men are worried about with dating, like, oh, when do I text her back, or like, how do I set up a date? And it's like a lot of that stuff will just kind of fall in place a lot more
Yeah.
naturally once you have something that you're going after that's important to you, that a woman like won't is she's not going to be the only thing in your life. So once you have something going for you, that will kind of straighten itself out. But so yeah, like I said, a purpose, and then just constantly building. So you need to be,
Mm.
there's no reason or excuse for you to be obese in
Yep.
2023. Like I know like seed oils and all that stuff is very bad, and it didn't used to be like that. And everything's convenience, go go go, but still there's so much information that you can do 10-minute workouts, 15-minute workouts at home, and you can still maintain like a proper physique. So body, um like a purpose, and then understanding how the mind works. Everything is achieved within your mind first, and then in reality. Nothing like Nikola Tesla, he didn't create the radio and all these other things that actually Thomas Edison took credit for, but that was all created in his mind first.
Mm.
So you have to understand like what your mind can conceive, your body will achieve if you work for it.
Mm.
And then lastly, I think, yeah, just a spiritual component to it
Yep.
is what a high value man. So not necessarily any religion. If you're into religion, that's great, but that kind of ties in with the purpose. You have to have like a reason for being here. If you don't think you have a reason for being here, that's going to come off in your dating life and in your social interactions. And then honestly, just tying that all together with information about how social dynamics work, that's what makes a high value man. That's what makes somebody really attractive, especially when most men are playing video games all day, like watching porn and like all
Hmm.
this degenerate stuff. It's really not hard to stand out.
Yeah.
And my journey started um in college because I was kind of living the degenerate lifestyle, whether it was like, smoking weed all the time or like drinking all the time and like just living basically to get drunk and like have casual sex. And it was so boring. And like after, it's so true, like once you live that life for like even 6 months, you're like, okay, what's next? Like this is boring.
Hmm.
So everyone fantasizes about that because Hollywood and the media push that stuff, but it's honestly not what it's cracked out to be. So then I started to look into self-improvement, and drop all those vices like vaping, like weed, like constantly drinking. And it just skyrocketed from there. It's so much more fun. Like even if I set the intention like, oh, like I'm at a party or a social gathering, like I can have a couple drinks, I still don't end up getting drunk. It's like it's not
Hmm.
it's not something I desire to do anymore because I have a higher purpose.
Mm, I love that. And a lot of that resonates with me as well. Because I think once you've been at this for a while and you started to improve yourself, you started to see some results, like the small things that maybe were fun back in the day, or maybe when you were in college or in school, they're just not really as fun anymore. Like going out and drinking and getting smashed and, just like talking about somebody's gossip that doesn't really matter. It's like that stuff doesn't really excite you anymore. You kind of lose your interest in that stuff. You start to be addicted to the grind. Like, oh man, I'm trying to get better. Like you notice every day, maybe you lost a pound, maybe you hit a new PR in the gym, maybe you made some extra money for your like a side hustle or for your main thing, whatever it is. You start to notice those results and like, damn, this is what I'm way more interested in. And you really start to fall in love with that whole process. So I very much do agree with your definition of a high value man because I think that the way you put it was great. Like mind, body, spirit, kind of getting everything all in line. I agree with that. I also think that anything that you're doing as a man that's working towards something, like you're building something, as you put it, that's like the qualifier. And it could literally it could be anything. Because I know guys hear that word purpose and they get kind of intimidated. They're like, oh man, do I have to like start a business? Do I have to be this crazy entrepreneur, CEO? You don't have to. Like you can, if that's really what you want to do. But you can literally start with like, if being in shape is a goal, that could be your purpose right now. Or if getting yourself out of debt is really important to you, that could be your purpose right now. Like it could be whatever is like literally right in front of you. Just do that and then kind of move forward. You don't have to be this like crazy successful guy immediately. It's just the matter of orienting your life around a certain direction and just walking that path. That's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, it's digging into something that is um valuable, digging
Yeah.
into something that's worthwhile investing into. Like, so
Yep.
yeah, like the gym or like volunteering. Like you could be
Yeah.
into volunteering with your church or like cleaning up litter or whatever the case may be. If you're into like environmentalism, anything
Hmm.
like that could be your purpose. But yeah, I totally think that what goes over a lot of people's head is they think that they'll just like know it. And it's like I
Yeah.
didn't know masculinity was my purpose. I thought the gym was
Mm.
my purpose for a while. I was really into working out and stuff like that. And then as I like slowly started to like be more curious about dating, I
Hmm.
realized the gym's just a part of it. I used to be a gym
Yeah.
rat. Now I'm like, okay, the gym is just part of my life and I love it and I'm never gonna
Hmm.
stop. But it's not my purpose, though. It's a piece of the purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, I find that interesting. I don't know if you ever heard the saying, like your message, your mess is your message. So like whatever you were struggling with early on in life, or at one point you had maybe insecurities around, usually that thing ends up being something that you create a business around, or you create some type of purpose or goal around to ultimately to help other people with.
Mhm.
So a lot in your case, like for me too, I was always really insecure about my manhood and like what that meant. I never really felt like I was a competent man, or to be honest, never knew really what that meant. So for the longest time, that was what I was dealing with too. So having to study some of these things about masculinity, uh, being high value, all these different things, that kind of started end up that ended up being like something I was passionate in, and then you share with other people. So I think a lot of the times what you're meant to be doing is something that you were really, really struggling with early on at one point, or you just felt super, super insecure or down about. That thing usually ends up being something that can empower you and you can ultimately empower others with once you start dealing with it yourself. So the thing with purpose too is a lot of people think you need to like go live in like Tibet, India or something for years and like have no phones around you and like go on this like spiritual awakening, which you could. I mean, that's part of your journey. Like go for it. But I think a lot of the times your purpose is like it's like right there in front of you. It's like it's always kind of been there. You just maybe not quite aware of it just yet. At least that's how I look at it.
And I think a lot of men don't know what it is to be a man because
Yeah.
we, our fathers, the generation before us, had they were kind of like a a purposeless generation. So the generation before that,
Mm.
like World War II, and
Yep.
before that, like the Industrial Revolution, they all had major things going on. And then the baby boomers came about, and it was kind of a soft life. Everything was kind of perfect, and that phrase like um, hard times create strong men create good
Hmm.
times create weak men. I think
Yep.
those baby boomers were kind of that weak generation, not to like, put
Mm.
them on blast or anything, but that's kind of what I've realized. And when you look at what we have today, a lot of men are soft and they don't know what's going on. So I think that's part of what caused that lack of understanding of what masculinity is. There's no like rite of passage, there's no
Hmm.
big thing going on that people can really like get behind.
Mm. Yeah. 100% agreed. I think that there's like a big discrepancy in men going through some type of initiation to be a man because we all know like women is very very easy like you get your period, boom, you're a woman, like you've matured basically. If men don't really have that, like if there's maybe some religions, the only thing on top of my head that I know of is like in Jewish religion, like you get a bar mitzvah and then officially like that's your initiation into manhood, but outside of that there's not much that I know of that boys they transition from immature to mature and being a man. There's really not a lot of that. So that's right on. I think that there needs to be more like intentional challenge or intentional just periods in your life where you have to go through some shit. Like you have to learn how to mold yourself and how to really like combat some of the things you're dealing with. Because again, like being comfortable and staying cushy and staying nice, staying comfortable, it doesn't really like it doesn't get you towards your goals. It doesn't help you grow as a man. Like it keeps you sedentary. And I think that's one of the big problems today is because of the wonders of like modern technology and the fact that social media is super popular and all these like fast food restaurants are doing DoorDash, like you don't really have to try very hard to
Mhm.
live a comfortable life. And I think that it's good for a lot of reasons, but it can screw a lot of guys up because they lose that masculine fire.
Yeah, men need struggle. And the other thing, like what you said about girls getting their period, and then it's like they're a woman.
Yeah,
Girls are expressing their sexuality from like middle school up. Like
for
you
real.
see, you see 14-year-old girls in the mall in like short skirts with like practically
Yeah.
their ass hanging out. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, mom,
Hmm.
can you please get some clothes on this girl? They're wearing yoga pants and they know how to do their hair, but men don't know how to like embrace their masculine energy because it's not as superficial, and that's not putting women down, but it is a lot
Hmm.
of looks based and like how you flirt and how you handle yourself as a woman. That's that feminine energy. And then as a man, it's like I'm supposed to embrace struggle. That sounds like that sucks. Like, not play video games
Yeah.
or whatever. So I think men just don't have they're not as used to embracing their masculine energy when it's much more acceptable for a girl to be wearing yoga pants in like seventh grade when a
Hmm.
guy like what's he supposed to do at seventh grade.
Hmm. Yeah, that's very true. I think that we live in a time where like being the phrase like being a bad bitch and all that stuff like is thrown out there like oh what like just be your thing, like do your thing, be independent and with the whole feminism stuff it kind of pushes a lot of that, maybe you could call it promiscuity from women or just women kind of putting themselves out there more. And the thing that gets me about that is like they kind of frame it like it's some type of empowerment to where that somehow makes a woman feel better about herself by maybe showing her ass off or doing this thing or maybe starting OnlyFans, whatever the case is. Um, but I don't see how that truly makes a woman feel like fulfilled and truly feel like maybe in the moment she feels great because she's making short-term bucks from subscriptions or OnlyFans, but in the long term, I think that's doing more harm than it does good. Like what do you see in your perspective in terms of that whole movement or just like how that can be like damaging to not only women, but I think society as a whole.
I think a lot of women feel pressure to go into the workforce because it's pushed on them from day one, like
Yeah.
into STEM, go into STEM, go into STEM. Like,
Hmm.
but a lot of women don't want that. The most depressed demographic are middle-aged women without children.
I saw that. Yeah.
So it's there is nothing wrong. Like I have the utmost respect for stay-at-home moms and people that and women that want to be mothers. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think honestly, that's the best way to raise a family. Now, if you want a
Yeah.
job and you want a career because you don't want to be dependent on a man, I totally understand that. But
True.
you kind of have to prioritize because there is, a
Yeah.
time you have to find a man. So if you want to go out and be drinking and partying and shaking your ass at the club until you're 27 years old, you're going to have only a couple years to find a man, and the men are now not going to be as interested in you. They're going to be interested in the younger women.
Right.
And any like quality man that kind of knows what he's doing is not going to want someone that's been, you know, well experienced sexually.
Yeah.
So I think they want the best of both worlds, and then they end up missing out on the one thing that really does have a time limit. Like you can start a career at any time, but you cannot
Hmm.
start a family at any time.
Right.
So the other thing I think that goes into it is um women feel like sex doesn't mean anything, and it's
Hmm.
sacred energy exchange. It does mean something. It's not just,
Yeah.
pleasure or whatever the case may be. So I think yeah, the OnlyFans and the degenerate stuff, it has to go. And the other thing is, I've been like, I'm not bragging or anything, but I've been with like really beautiful women and women that, like, if you want to call them tens or whatever, that
Hmm.
are not super feminine, that are not
Oh
like
yeah.
easy to be around. And I've been with women that are like eights, if you want to put a number on it, but are super feminine. And I'll take the
Hmm.
8 out of 10 that's a feminine woman over the 10 that's bitchy any day of the week. So
Yep.
women like understand that like your femininity does matter. It's not just your looks. Like high
Hmm.
value men will not put up with that. And men understand that there's more value to be had than just like, oh, she looks great. So
Yes.
goes both ways.
100%. No, I agree wholeheartedly. And like the whole phrase of the kind of woman that's quote unquote high value, like fit, friendly, feminine. I mean, that stuff just rings true for I think a lot of guys. And I'm glad we're talking about this because it kind of segues perfectly into the next kind of question I wanted to ask, maybe topic we can discuss is that mindset that you were just describing about like sex is kind of meaningless nowadays with hookup culture. Everybody just kind of wants to bang, just short-term pleasure type stuff, like instant gratification. That's very, very like popular. I think everybody like that goes to bars, not, I can't say everybody, but a lot of people that go to clubs, go to bars on the regular, that's kind of in like the mindset that they're in. And I do find a lot of women think that for sure. I do know a lot of men that think that as well. They're just like, "Oh man, I'm just gonna bag some girls and bang them and then, go on my way, like just do my thing, kind of live the whole like hookup lifestyle," which there's a lot of discussion about that right now. I think a lot of dudes in this space say, "Well, men can do it, but women can't do it because women have more to lose than men do in that situation," which there's maybe some truth to that, but I think that in my opinion, I don't think men sleeping around and being just like man hoes basically is beneficial for them either. Because then you start to devalue what a connection really can be in a woman. Like you lose that value in intimacy, I think. And that can really screw you up if you're looking for like a long-term relationship that can I think delay some of that long-term success that you're looking for. So in your opinion, do you see that also being a negative for men? And yeah, like just what's like your opinion on that?
Yeah, it's absolutely a negative for men. And a lot of men like to complain about like, oh, she belongs to the streets or like she's a slut. But
Yeah,
you gotta remember, men are the ones that make them sluts. So women can be
facts.
sluts, but men are slut creators. I know I've mentioned that to you before. And
Hmm.
it's ironic. I'm gonna sound like my mother here, but like sex with someone that you actually care about is 10 times better. Like I've done
Hmm.
both. I've done the casual shit and I've done the shit in love, and it is so much better. Like if you want pleasure, then having sex in a relationship where you actually care about her is so much better than just sleeping with some girl you met at the club like an hour ago.
Hmm.
So you really do get the best of both worlds. Like you get the intimacy and you get the better pleasure if you want to be superficial about it from a relationship. And I'm sure a lot of guys will ignore that because it's not like sexy to say that, but
Yeah.
it's so true. Like sex with someone you care about is 10 times better.
Hmm. 100%. I agree with that because like I've done the same thing where like you hook up with a girl, maybe in the moment it's fun, you don't know each other, that there's that excitement there, but then after you're done, you kind of like look at each other and you're like, all right, what did I just do? Like I don't really care about you, I don't know you, like get out of my house. Like, not maybe not that aggressively, but you just don't you just don't share that type of that bond. And I think it's interesting because it's the same kind of analogy with the instant gratification and the delayed gratification. It's the same type of thing because it's the same mentality when you're buying food and you're getting it cheap, it's quick, it's convenient, maybe order DoorDash, but it's all like processed foods. So even though in the moment it feels good, it's pleasurable, you're sacrificing that long-term health for your short-term gain. So instead of eating like fruits or something nutritious, you're gonna eat some bull crap like boxed food or some like processed food that isn't good for you. And same thing with like get rich quick schemes. They don't work because you're trying to get like so much money in a short period of time, but it just doesn't work like that. It's all about the delayed gratification. And
Mhm.
the exact same thing applies, I think, to this. Like with women, you don't sacrifice the short-term pleasure. Oh man, she's hot. She has big titties or butt or whatever. Like you sacrifice that for the long term of, oh, well, there's mental connection, there's emotional connection there, there's a kind of spiritual connection. There's more than just her looks. And a lot of guys, I think, they flip that or they just don't even look at that other stuff because they're so visually stimulated. And us men are visual creatures. Like there's no doubt about it. So we definitely need something like physically attractive to look at. But I think if that's the only metric that you have when you're talking about attracting a woman, man, there's a lot of pretty girls out there, but there's very few that you connect with on like a deeper level. And those I think are might take longer to find, but ultimately I do believe they are more worth it.
Mhm. And I know you've talked about this before too, but I think a lot of guys feel entitled to a woman just because they're a dude. But it's like if you're out of
Absolutely.
shape and if you have like a bad attitude towards life and
Hmm.
you don't have anything going for you, then like
Yeah.
what woman would want to be with you? So work on yourself first
Yep.
and then worry about women. Like I'm not saying you need to be like some bodybuilder making six figures a year, that's like some shaman and like spiritual guru. You don't need to be advanced and everything, but you need to have the ambition and the drive and be working towards that stuff so that
Yeah.
not only you come off like your subconscious communication will be better when you actually have stuff going for you, but so that a woman will actually want to date you. Because if you have nothing going for you, the women that you can like get a relationship with or have casual sex with right now, they're not going to be very pretty. I hate to break it to you, but so
Yeah.
like I think working on yourself and dropping like passing your genes on is not something you're entitled to. And that's at the end of the
Yeah.
day what it is. It's not this Disney fairy tale love, oh wait, we all get a partner. No, some people
Hmm.
don't get a partner. So you
Yeah.
have to work on yourself to pass on your genes, you know?
Hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think everything's competition. Like even the relationship that you want, the family that you want. Like guys really think like you're the only one that you think wants that. Like a hundred guys, thousands of guys, millions of guys want that. And most likely, if she's a really attractive looking girl who's has really good qualities, maybe she's feminine, nurturing, loving, she's like a really high value woman, like you're not the only one that wants her, bro. Like she's gonna get suitors from like all these different guys. She's gonna have all these dudes wanting to hit her up. So why would she pick you over them? And
And a
that's
cool and a cool personality is not enough. Like I had a
no,
guy, like
no.
it's really not enough. Like that's great, but you got to have stuff going for you.
Yeah, 100%. Like you gotta make sure you're the well-rounded package. Because if you just have your looks, all right, cool. Maybe she'll pay attention to you for a week, maybe a month if you're lucky. But then afterwards, if you've got nothing else going on, it's gonna get very stale. And if you just have money, maybe she'll stay with you a little bit longer because you provide that security, but you don't offer anything else outside of that. You don't have any like conversation skills, or you don't know how to lead her properly. You don't know how to connect. And it's like you need kind of everything. You need to really check like every single box as much as you can, realistically. But yeah, I think it's funny when guys are like they just like sit on their couch and play video games and like eat Doritos and they think, "Oh yeah, I want to get a high value chick." It's like, bro, doesn't work like that.
And then on the flip side, so we've kind of been like harping on the guys and like you got to do more, but I also don't want you to believe that like, oh, she's not yours, it's just your turn. Like that is
Yeah,
total, that's
I hate
total
that saying.
bullshit. Yeah. The dudes that say that are just they're losers.
Yeah,
But
they're coping.
so women, like even Andrew Tate, you know, even Andrew Tate said like women can be the most loyal creatures on the planet as
Yeah.
long as you have that ambition, as long as you give them a sense of security, direction, structure in their life, that
Yes.
masculine rock to their feminine wave. That's
Mhm.
that's they will stick with you.
Yep.
Um, assuming you watch out for the red flags, like girls with like some girls with like daddy issues, like they
Yeah.
have a healthy attachment style, so you got to understand that that's probably not a girl you want to get involved with. But
Hmm.
a woman with a healthy respect for her father and a good feminine qualities, they will be extremely loyal to you even if you don't make the six figures, as long as you're able to provide and you're able to lead and make her feel secure and safe, and also add a little twinge of sexual polarity so that it's
Hmm.
exciting for her. Then you're golden. Like she will not
Yeah.
leave you.
Hmm. No, I definitely agree with that. I think that's a lot of the stuff that some of the red pill guys talk about a lot, like hypergamy, and how women are always looking for the next best thing, like they're trying to get like the best male suitor, which there's truth to that. I mean, there's no denying women will definitely choose the guy that they deem the best option for them. And I mean, guys can be like that too, for sure. But with women, it's like, yeah, they're biologically conditioned to go after the highest value man that they deem high value. But if that's you and you're all the things in one, and you're a great dude, you have, your shit together, you're supporting your life, you're providing for her, you're protecting her, you're leading her properly. If you're doing all those things, then she's not going to leave you. And if she does, then you probably picked the wrong chick. I mean, it's not a general thing where every woman is going to look for other options or think the grass is greener. If you're blowing her world in every way, she's not going to look elsewhere.
The thing the red pill guys leave out is the fact that women also want security. So yes,
Yeah,
women date up. So if you're gonna go on dates with her and you're gonna get into a relationship to begin with, she's
yeah,
gonna have to look up to you.
for
But
sure.
if you create that emotional connection, she does look up to you and you give her security, she's not going to go look at this other guy that doesn't give her security. He might be a little more successful, he might be a little more handsome, he might be a little more jacked, but she
Mm,
has security and an emotional connection with you, so she's not going to jump ship to go and potentially have that with him when she already has that with you. So they completely miss half the equation, which is very important to women, which is security.
1,000%. I also find that women, since they're a lot more emotional typically than men, they do value like memories and good times, I think a little bit more than some guys do. Like if you took a woman, let's say for the first time, she's never been to, I don't know, California or something, and you take her on a trip, and that's your first time going as a couple. She's like never done that before. You have an amazing time. she's like enjoying it and it's amazing, like a great little like vacation, she'll value that.
Mhm.
And she'll look back on those moments and be like, man, that was an awesome time. Like I really admire, love this guy. Like you've given her so many of those positive like emotions and memories. Like I think women, they value that stuff. Like time does equate to that connection. Like the more time you spend with somebody, the more memories you have with people, it's hard for them to be like, oh, but yeah, like let me just go talk to this freaking Chad at the bar who looks really good that she doesn't even know or have any connection with.
And you don't have to fly her out to Italy to
Yeah,
make memories. Like I
exactly.
have a date tonight, all right, and I
Mhm.
spent $12 on a bottle of wine,
Yeah.
and oh wow, I spent $12. That was a, I guess, Amber Alert. I spent
Yeah.
$12. Hopefully they find her.
I
I
hope
spent
so.
$12 on a bottle of wine for a date I have tonight. And what we're doing, so it's raining and it's gonna be raining the rest of the day. At first,
Hmm.
I was kind of pissed about that. I was like, damn, like I gotta find something that we can do indoors or whatever, because I only have tonight this week that like I'm
Hmm.
busy. I'm on my purpose. So I only have tonight that I can see her this week. But I
Yep.
got a $12 bottle of wine and we're going to a park. And then there's like some train tracks and a bridge that goes over it, and the bridge is covered, and we're gonna sit there. I'm bringing her a rain jacket and I'm bringing an umbrella. I'm bringing like a speaker. We'll probably listen to like Frank Sinatra. We'll drink the wine
Nice.
and like the ambiance of the rain, and then Frank, and then all the like the that's awesome. Like no
Yeah.
guy is doing that. Not only is that like effort on my part that she'll really enjoy, it's
Hmm.
it's like it's a date that nobody ever thinks to take her. Oh, let's just go to the
Yep.
bar. I'll come to my place. We can like go to the movies. It's like I guess bowling's not a bad one, but like it's
Right.
still not like super interesting. Like this girl, like if I don't continue to see her in the future, like she probably won't go on a date that's like this ever again. So you
Hmm.
don't have to break the bank.
Yep. That's so true. And like guys think that they need to, so they take them to all these expensive dinners. I have a funny story about a friend who he long story short, we knew this girl back in high school and like she was kind of like friends with him. She wasn't really ever like interested in that way, but eventually she became single again, once we graduated school and he was like, "Oh, here's my chance to finally like ask her out." Meanwhile, like he was kind of friend zone the whole time, so he thought like this was my chance, right? So
Yeah.
at first date, he takes her to this like expensive steakhouse, pays for everything, and not even like when I say expensive steakhouse, like I don't live in like a super major city. I live near Pittsburgh, and this is one of the better steakhouses in the whole area. Takes her to that. It's like overlooking the whole city, pays for everything, and he like basically she didn't have to do much except show up and dress up. That was it. And towards the end of the date, he leaves and he's like, "Oh man, I think I made a great impression." And like a week later, or not even a week later, she was like, "Yeah, I just see you as a friend. Like, it's nothing really past that." And he put in all this effort just to get rejected, and she got a free dinner out of it. Now, there's some girls that will do that, but you don't like Ryan's saying, you don't have to go over the top. I know I've had a lot of first dates that are cheap, and I don't mean you need like take her to McDonald's or anything, but there was one date where we went on a walk in a park, and I had a little blanket. I just laid it out on the hill. We sat down. We just watched like the sky and just sat there and just talked. I mean, that kind of stuff will make a girl connected to you because you're creating an experience. It's not so
Mhm.
much of like how much money you spend on the date. It's just how you make her feel on the date, who you are, and how you guys vibe. That's like the major thing.
Yeah, it's much more about how you make her feel than like the money you put towards it, because any
Yeah.
man can spend money on her. So a lot of guys think that like, oh, if I impress her with like the place that we go, and like no, that's not how you do it. You impress her with
Hmm.
your energy and like
Yep.
maintaining your frame, like not letting her intimidate you or not getting offended or anything like that. And the other thing is about how women will let you do that. So I dated a dancer for Florida State, and her friends, there were a couple of millionaires that came in on their private jet, and like these are Florida State dancers, these really
Mm.
beautiful women. I think I can't remember exactly what happened, but I'm pretty sure they flew them these millionaires flew them down to Miami, and the whole time my girlfriend at the time was saying like, yeah, they're just using them for like the dinner, and like
Yeah.
they're like, they love the private jet and like the champagne and like all this stuff. Like yeah, I think they flew them to Miami, but these millionaires that they thought were ugly and they were kind of weird.
Yep.
They were just using them for the experience. And
Mhm.
I don't think anything ever sexually happened. So they spent all
Yeah.
this money on these dancers and they didn't even get what they wanted. And not to be pursuing that, but it's like money does not matter. Like, sure, they might entertain it. And like, if you can take a girl like courtside to the Lakers, cool. But like,
Mhm.
if you can come off as a masculine man with masculine energy, she's going to appreciate that much more. I heard an analogy from Casey Zander that I really liked. If Brad Pitt texted a girl and was like, "Meet me at Taco Bell, like I'm gonna get you dinner," she would meet Brad Pitt at Taco Bell, and it has nothing to do with the fact that he looks good. It has everything to do with that he's a masculine man, and
Yeah.
it has nothing to do with the fact that they're going to Taco Bell. Who cares? So
Hmm.
become Brad Pitt, have that confidence, that aura, that masculine energy about you, so that she would be happy to meet you at Taco Bell.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that that's something that guys miss. They think they just need like there's like they look at dating or relationships or like social dynamics like as a very black and white thing. It's like, oh, if I don't have looks, if I don't have money, if I don't have status, then like game over. But what they don't realize is like that stuff is literally just a byproduct of you as a man, like being masculine and like working on yourself, being excited and purposeful with your life and your time. Because you can have a ton of money and you can have, maybe the best looks in the world, but if you don't connect with a girl on an emotional level or make her feel feminine, then there's really nothing else you could do. Like that stuff is just very, very superficial in a lot of ways. And I had a point that I wanted to say. Oh yeah, the money thing. I think with money, because we talked about security, how women value that. I think what's interesting, and I'd love to get your take on this, because the way my brain works is I think that money, like women care about that only after they've kind of established that you are like that guy for her. If she's like, oh man, I really respect this guy, I admire him. He might not be in like a financial spot right now to provide, but I see he's at least on that trajectory to do so. So I think like women biologically, they do want to be provided for, but I think like that's not like if you're not a millionaire when you meet her, that's not like a deal breaker, basically.
Yeah. So one quick thing about the looks, it's not hard to be attractive as a man.
That's
Work
true.
out, get a haircut, maybe, take care of your eyebrows. Like
Yep.
it's like that's not I take care of my eyebrows and like I don't some dudes get all weird about that. Brush your teeth, like
Yep.
smell good. That's all you have to do. Like
Yep.
looking as a man is not that hard. I think men project the fact that they care so much about looks onto
Hmm.
women when they don't. If you can approach her in the right way with the right vibe, then she will be attracted to you, assuming you have your body and everything put together. But back
Hmm.
to the money, absolutely, I think women kind of look at it in a long like in the long run. So ambition is uh one of the most attractive things to a woman in a man. If he has ambition, but not just like, oh, I want to do this and that. Anyone can say they want to do it. If he's
Right.
actually acting on it and getting results. So
Hmm.
moving towards that goal. And she can see that, that will make her very attracted and that will make her want to hitch her wagon to that man because she can see the trajectory. So I totally agree.
Hmm.
Yes, like you need to have a baseline of money, but it's not like she's looking to live in, like a marble castle, like of course that's awesome, but if you can, keep a roof over her head, maybe take like a vacation once a year and afford, the basic luxuries of life, like then that's all she really wants. And especially if you keep that, excitement alive, that polarity alive, like she's not she's not going to leave you because like, oh, you're not making like $300,000 a year. Like a lot of people don't make that a year. when you look at like the way the world is, like you would see like a lot of these like red pill theories aren't true. Like plenty of men are dating women and they're making, 60, 70K a year. And if
Yeah.
you're able to do that and keep that polarity alive and, be financially literate and not get into copious amounts of debt, then
Hmm.
we'll be fine.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I think that if you have the baseline down and you at least, and what you said is very, very, very important with not even just with women, but as a man in life, like your integrity is everything. So if you say you're going to do something, you have to put in the actions to back it up because even if other people don't know, even if like you tell a friend and maybe you flake on them or you tell a girl you're going to do something and you don't do it, they might forgive you or they might forget about it at some point, but you will never forget it. And you will always remember if you keep a promise to yourself and you lie, or you say, I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow and you don't show up, well, it's going to be really hard to trust yourself. And if you lack that self trust, you're going to lack that self image, that positive, self esteem. You're not probably going to have a lot of self confidence because you think, oh, anything I say, like it's going to fall through anyway. So integrity is extremely, extremely important, especially as a man to have that. Um, but I wanted to talk on that point that you just made about a lot of the red pill stuff where they say like you need to have like X amount of money. You need to be a, certain quality of guy to even be approached or even be noticed by some women, which to a degree, like you do need to be better than the average guy. But I think what a lot of people don't realize these days is it is not hard to be above average as a man today. Like there's like the stat, right? Like 80% of women, like 20% of the top men or whatever it is. I find that it's not that difficult to be within the top, even top 30%, top 30, 20% of men. There is really not that many things that you need to do to be in that category. Like make decent money. You don't have to make millions of dollars, but improve your finances, work on your looks, like go to the gym, like you said, dress better, style better, and then have a mission, have a purpose that you're following, a business, something you're trying to improve in your life and then like that's basically it. Like just work on some of your social skills and you have it. It's not that hard.
In America, like 60%, maybe 70% of the population's overweight.
Yeah,
You're already in the top
literally.
10% if you can just,
Yep.
move your body a little bit. And then, yeah, if you add in some ambition and some drive and, have a little bit of confidence, a little bit of swag to you, yeah,
Hmm.
you're top 10% right there.
Legit. I know, because some guys I think hear that and they're like, "Oh my God, women are gold diggers, or women only go for the top guys." Like, screw, and they get mad at girls. It's like, bro, just look at that as a challenge and say, "Man, I want to be in this top 20%." Whether that's 100% accurate or not, I think there's some truth to it. But I look at that and I'm like, okay, well, shit, I'm just gonna try to be in the top 20%. It's like it's not that impossible to achieve. Um,
I think the top
yeah,
20% are more of like the choosers. They're the ones that kind of,
yeah.
then the bottom 80% or maybe like that the 50% below that 20%, those are the ones that the girls will typically end up settling for
True.
after, they've probably been through, Brad and Chad and like all the alpha dudes like
Yep.
yeah, so back to kind of the sex thing, like I think I don't a lot of people push this like puritanical like wait until marriage and like I don't think that that's practical and I think a lot of people when you hear that are just going to be like absolutely not and they're just going to stay the way they are. I think if you just prioritize a connection over and like actually like caring about them a future with them than just like this one time thing, I think
Hmm.
that's what matters more. So having just meaning behind the sex, it's not necessarily that you have to be married or that you have to date for 10 months before you can have sex. I think as long as there's that commitment on both sides and that investment, then it's okay to have sex. And I'm sure like no matter what I say, people are gonna be like, oh, you're a prude, oh, you're a man whore. So it's like
Yeah, for
can't,
sure.
I can't please everyone, but I
Hmm.
think that's the most ethical and logical and reasonable way to go about sex in the modern day because if you're in today's age, if you're a man and you're not having sex with a woman, she might like you a ton, but if she's like really desiring that physical intimacy,
Yep.
she might leave you for someone that will give it to her and that will not
Mm.
there to find. So I do think that there's a little bit of a give and take
Yeah.
sex.
That is a very fair point because my mind does operate the same way. I'm very much like I'm not so much in the wait till marriage category of things, but then at the same time, I'm not like, okay, just bang on the first date and try to do it as soon as possible. I'm kind of like in the middle with it. Like I think that there is value in not waiting, but just kind of feeling this person out, like getting to know their personality, getting to know their values, their vision. Do they align with yours? Is there really any type of like intimacy there and chemistry? If there is, awesome. Like I have a rule for myself now that I'm not gonna have sex with somebody until I know for sure that there is a connection, our values are aligned, like there's something there. Now that could take maybe a week or so, a couple weeks, maybe a month, but the idea is to not be so loose with your sexuality that you're just giving it out to anybody, but to also not be so rigid with it to be like, oh, I'm waiting 3 months. That's my rule for everybody. Like after that, like I only do that or I only wait till marriage. Like
Mhm.
I think at that point you are kind of missing out on just another level of intimacy because at the end of the day, like what we just talked about with sex, like it is a very intimate act. And once you do have sex with somebody, you kind of see them in a different light. Like they're more vulnerable around you, especially with women. Like they get more emotionally attached after that. So it is important to kind of see how that lines up because if you do have sex with this girl and you still want to be with her afterwards, and you're like, man, yeah, I'm here for more than just this. That's a good sign. That's a green flag. It's like, yo, that's maybe somebody that you could build with.
Mhm. And it like just like people that don't understand how like big of a deal sex is. It's like how many
Yeah.
times do you go and put like your fingers in somebody else's body in a day? You don't put any part of your body inside of somebody else's
Yep.
body
That's
at
true.
all, ever. So that's only during sex. So it's like
Yep.
it is a very much a big deal, and it is like different than and like anything else.
Hmm. No, I agree 100%. And kind of on that, I wanted to maybe touch on some of the one of the things that the red pill guys say. And I don't want anybody to see this and be like, "Oh my God, you guys are attacking the red pill and you're a bunch of haters." That's not what this is. Like I personally think there's a lot of good things from the red pill and we've talked about this off camera too. There's a lot of value to it, but there is a lot of things that can be pretty harmful and can lead guys down the wrong path.
I see it as truth, but not the whole truth.
Yeah, pretty much. Like someone put it in a comment the other day. They said, take the red pill, just don't overdose on it. I'm like, yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. But one of the things I wanted to bring up real quick was something that they talk about a lot. This is a huge point of contention for people. It's a very, very talked about topic in the red pill is like when guys get to a certain level, let's say they reach like higher status, maybe they're on their mission, they're on their grind, they're improving themselves as men and they get to a certain level, I hear a lot of the things that red pillars say is like, oh well, he can cheat on a girl if he's in a relationship, he could cheat and still have feelings for the girl. Like it doesn't count because he's a man and like he could spread his seed and all this and all that. I personally think that's bullshit. It's just kind of a cope to just like be be just enjoying your pleasure, instant gratification. That's what I think. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Like when a guy reaches a certain point, is it considered cheating and is it okay for a guy to do that, in your opinion?
I think it's dumb. I think, yeah, I do think it is kind of a cope. If you wanted to sleep with another woman, then like you, yeah, you probably shouldn't be with her.
Yeah.
I mean, in one of my past relationships, we actually ended up having a threesome with another girl. And after like I think it was like the second or third time, my girlfriend, like which she was totally okay with it, she left the room and then I went out after and she was like very upset. And then we never did it again. And like
Yeah.
but like you see, and like I was totally willing to let her go, the other girl go, and I cared about my girlfriend at the time,
Yeah.
and I think she really appreciated the fact that I was able to like literally ignore a naked woman in the room and go out and talk to her because she's
Yeah.
upset. So it's like I've done it, and again, like I had to experience it to like understand that it's really not anything special.
Mm,
Like I guess like it's purely vanity, I guess, for my ego.
right.
So um it's like I guess it was always just one of those bucket list things, and I like I guess succumbed to like my degenerate nature. But in yeah, in the end of at the end of the day, it's not something that's worth it. And the fact that I went after her proves that you don't need it. Like
Yeah.
if I believe that it's like, oh, I can just spread my seed, I would have, kept going and just ignored it. And like, nah,
Mm,
if you actually care, and men are capable, like men are the ones that get heartbroken longer. Like
it's
men
true.
do develop a deep connection with a woman. You shouldn't have any interest or need to go out and find something new. Like in order
Hmm.
for a relationship to work, there needs to be that sexual compatibility. Sex isn't everything, but it is something. So if
Yeah.
you have that sexual compatibility, you shouldn't need to be going and looking for, greener pastures elsewhere.
Hmm. Yeah, and I also think that too, if you're with the woman that really excites you in all areas, like she's fun to be around, she's she knows you on a deep level. She supports you, you support her. She's very like in tune with her feminine, so she nurtures you and she makes you feel comfortable. And like if you guys have that strong of a connection, I I mean, maybe I'm different than most guys. I don't know how it works, but I would never think to be like, oh yeah, she's great and all these things, but man, this girl walked by 10 minutes ago. She's hot. Like, I'm gonna go try to bang her. I've never thought that once. If I had like a strong, strong connection with a girl, it just doesn't really cross my mind, which kind of gets into the discussion too about like monogamy versus polygamy, which is another big thing that some guys talk about. Um, I think there's a lot of debate. I mean, I can't say what is right, what is wrong. I mean, obviously you should live your life and kind of know what you stand for, but for me, I think that there is some value in monogamy. I think that that can work, especially if you want to have kids and you want to raise a family. Like monogamy, I think is like probably the best bet if you want to have a healthy, strong family life. Um, but a lot of the red pill guys do promote like the polygamous relationship, like having multiple partners, maybe the woman. Well, they say the girl don't have any other partners. It's just the guy. Um, and I've heard a couple other guys talk about being polygamous and that can be a benefit. So I'm wondering like where do you stand on that? Do you think that there is value in monogamy? Do you think that um it's something that's pushed on men? Because I've heard that too, where they say, "Oh, monogamy is just conditioning, and that guys don't actually want to be monogamous. They're naturally polygamous." So I'm wondering, just curious, like, what's your take on that?
I think monogamy absolutely can work, and I think polygamy is like absolutely. I think yeah, if you had, um like let's say you had two women and like one was more of like cooking and like taking care of the house, and then one like raised the kids, like
Hmm.
that could work. But
Sure.
also women are ferocious, so like if do you have kids with both of them? And like because
Yeah,
I think the one's gonna want to raise the other one's kids.
they get
maybe,
sticky.
maybe she's reasonable, I don't know, but
Yeah,
I think it's super impractical for you to find a woman that's willing to share you. I
yeah.
don't so
I never
why
met one.
why even chase that? And also the amount of time and effort that goes into maintaining a relationship with just one woman is a
Right.
lot. So if you're
Yeah.
gonna have to do that with another woman or two other women, and then also maintain a relationship with your kids,
Yeah.
you have no other free time. So
Hmm.
I just don't think it's practical. And also, what happens if one of your wives meets another man that she likes more and wants to go? Then half of your either your child raiser or your
Yeah.
housekeeper is leaving, and now your house is in shambles. So it's just you have too much stuff to juggle when you
Hmm.
do it that way. I think monogamy is the best way and definitely the most practical.
Hmm. Yeah, I very much do agree. And I know that it's funny that most of the guys that complain about that are dudes just in like the comment section, like, oh my God, monogamy, you're simping, blah, blah, blah. It's like, bro, have you ever even been in a relationship? Like a lot of these guys never even talk to women on that level. So they just don't know. They're just saying what they hear from these different videos and creators. And I agree with a lot of your points. I think it's hard to even juggle, even let's say when you're single, you're talking to like four or five different girls at a time. Like even that is difficult to manage because you're just like, oh man, I gotta remember what did she say last time, and oh, I got this date set up Saturday, but I got another one set up Friday, and then you're trying to juggle all these different things. It's like, how much time do you really have for yourself and for the things that you're trying to build, like as a man to like provide for yourself? How much extra time do you have? Because you know, we're told to like have a rotation of girls and always have options and stuff like this, which the way I look at options is like you can have an option without actually being a guy that's talking to multiple girls. Like I think that the ultimate power of a man is it doesn't matter if you're talking to one girl or you're talking to 10 girls. The ability to just have a new option whenever you want to is true power. It doesn't mean that you have to at all times. Like even if you're in a relationship and she disrespects you or things don't go well, you have the abundant mentality to be like, okay, if it doesn't work with this girl and things are great with her, thing you might even love this woman, but you should know in your mind that I'm still a really awesome guy too. And if it doesn't work, I can find another one and it's gonna work out then too. That's just having the abundance and not actually being like, oh, I'm talking to six girls. That's kind of like you don't have to do that to have abundance.
Mhm. Yeah, so I think, yeah, like I like to promote dating casually, not sleeping around casually, but like, yeah, like
Yeah.
talk to a lot of women, like get women's numbers and like take them on dates with $12 bottles of wine. Like that's
Yeah.
not gonna break the bank, and you will gain the skills and the confidence to have the, I guess, yeah, confidence to enforce boundaries. Like, because a lot of guys,
Sure.
they latch on to the first girl that will let them, and
Yep.
then they're scared to stand up for themselves. And on top of that, they might let themselves go because they're like, okay, I got the girl. Now it's time to just, drink beer and eat Doritos all the time. And then if she leaves, which she probably will if that's what you're doing, then
Hmm.
in worse shape, and he doesn't know how he got her in the first place, and he just is a complete and total train wreck. So yeah, you have to stay on top of your shit while you're in the relationship, but I also think, yeah, you should be talking to like several women, dating, like I said, casually, so that you do build the skills and the confidence to be able to attract several women or more women whenever you want, so that you feel comfortable enforcing boundaries and standing up for yourself in a relationship.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's well said. I think you should have the ability to know how to talk to women and have experience talking to different women and knowing what you like, what turns you off, what turns you on, how to socialize and stuff like that. I, the way I put it is like I promote guys to date with high intention with low expectation. So my intention, like if I'm dating you, if I'm taking you on a date or I'm doing something with you, my mindset is like, I see potential in this girl. She could be a wifey type. I'm just figuring her out. Like that's my intention is she's going to be a girlfriend if things work well. If they don't, that's fine. Like that's where the no expectation comes in. So if you talk to a girl, you're not immediately thinking like, okay, one date in, she's going to be my wife. Like this is it. This is the girl. You have no idea. Like you might find out something about her you don't like. She might not like something about you. It just you can't go into something thinking that this is going to be the end all be all. Just be open to really anything. And I think you kind of naturally get to that point when uh you really start building as a man. Like my mentality is always like dating should never really be like a goal for a guy. Like it's just a byproduct of you leveling up your life and enjoying your life. You shouldn't think, "Oh, I need to approach 10 girls tomorrow and try to get X amount of numbers." Like I don't think you need to set a goal around dating. It kind of just happens when you're just being a masculine man, really.
I think, yeah, I think it's kind of part of your lifestyle. So like to
Yeah.
me, the gym is not a it's not a task or a nuisance. It's just something I do. It's just very natural for me to go to the gym. And
Yeah.
I think men should get to that point with women. So it's not like, I think maybe if you have to practice and get comfortable approaching women, like, okay, I need to approach 10 women this week to um, become comfortable with that. So yeah, just building up that comfort so that when you do see a beautiful woman that you want to talk to, you can just naturally do it because you're just naturally a social guy that will go
Yeah.
up and talk to beautiful women. So getting rid of that fear and just making socializing and asking a girl for her number part of your life,
Mm,
a natural occurring thing for you. I think
mm,
that's what's important. So yeah, you don't have to, once you're comfortable and you're, whatever, you're smooth talking and you understand how to flirt with girls and get a number, then I think yeah, like you don't need to be setting these goals. But I think a lot of men are so scared that they kind of need to have that like that um I guess deadline or that goal for themselves to talk to women to the point where they get rejected enough that they realize it doesn't matter. Like I've been
mm,
rejected far more times than I've gotten numbers. So it's like you just have
mm-hmm.
you realize it doesn't matter. And especially if you have a purpose, if you have something you care about
Right.
and you see yourself in a positive light, you're gonna be like her loss. Who cares? Like some women give me a lot of attitude for no reason, and I just laugh. I'm just like, have a good day.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like I'm not gonna get mad or butthurt or like, oh, why not? Like, who cares?
hmm Yeah. Yeah, I think something that helped me even with like approach anxiety or just knowing how to talk to people was just like learning how to be social just in general. Like if I went out or if I was like maybe at the park or something, like I would talk to everybody. And like not even just women, like old guys walking their dog or old ladies sitting down in the park. Like I would be social with everybody. And I think what that does is like it lowers your anxiety. It kind of makes you feel more comfortable. Like, man, approaching people is really not that hard. People make a big deal about it, especially because nobody does it anymore. But you could literally walk down the street and start a conversation with a total stranger. And if you can do that, you'll pretty much have no problem talking to a girl. Now, there's a little bit more to it. Like you want to lead, you want to make sure that she knows why you're there. Like set the intention, be direct, but it's not much else that you got to do. So I think that, yeah, like you do want to have some type of experience doing that, but my take is like you'll be a lot more confident if you have other things going on too. Like if you have a business or not even that, just have goals. Like the dating stuff is just gonna maybe it should be on your list, but it shouldn't be like top like one, two, three things that you like prioritize. At least in my opinion.
And with being social, you can talk to like the cashier, like ask them how their day is
Yeah,
going, make a
exactly.
joke, like not one of those stupid jokes, but you know what I'm saying, like a
Yep,
natural joke off the cuff. And then talk to the waiter, ask him what he likes, ask him what she likes.
exactly.
Like there are so many interactions that you go through in a day that you don't even think that you could actually have like a short conversation.
hmm
So engage in that. And that's like a beautiful, like little stepping stone to being more social.
Yeah, that's very, very true. I did that recently. I talked to I think it was someone like it's like a cashier checking me out at like a retail store, like Macy's or something. Like we just started a conversation and then like boom, like I found out, things about things about her kids, like all her just her life story basically, just because I was asking like, hey, how's your day going today? And then it just snowballs.
Mhm.
So yeah, conversation skills. I mean, just learn to talk to people. Like just learn how to get yourself out there, get out of your comfort zone. I mean, get out of the house, like most importantly. Like you're not going to meet people and get more social by just watching videos about how to approach girls or like pickup videos. Like that is not going to help you. Like just get out there and just be social, like enjoy your life. And then you'll just start to realize, hey, I have a natural curiosity to just meet people.
The information is meant to guide your action. It's not meant
Yeah.
to be the only thing you're doing. And like similarly, like with what you were saying, the I did the self checkout when I bought the bottle of wine. I did the self
Yeah.
check, and a girl came over. It was at Publix. People in Florida know, which is a grocery store. And she came over and she's like a bottle of wine, and I could tell just by the way she was like talking to me. I was like, okay, she's probably like interested in me or whatever. So I continued with my stuff, and then I just said, "Have a good day." And then
Mm-hmm.
like, as I was walking out, and she like was stumbling over her words and stuff. I could tell, I was like, yeah, like she liked me. But that
Mm-hmm.
so just like, even I didn't even go out of my way to really have a conversation with her. But you can, once you start socializing more, you can pick up very quickly, like, oh, she's interested in me. Oh, she's not. Like, very easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you definitely develop like a sixth sense when you start to just like own. I call it like owning your masculinity. When you really do that, and you understand feminine energy, you understand female nature, like it just becomes very easy to pick up on. And there's a lot of tells that like when she knows that you're a man that is like masculine and stuff, it just they kind of naturally like they'll approach you, kind of like your experience. They will naturally walk up to you and try to say something, not 100% of the time, but a lot of the times they'll either put themselves around you or they'll look at you a certain way or they'll like get nervous around you and they're just waiting for you to say something. So it's really easy once you start like being that kind of guy.
Eye contact used to really confuse me. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
what, how do you, isn't it weird to just like look at, like, I didn't understand it, but like, no, don't be like ashamed to be like looking at a woman, and don't stare like a freak, but
Yeah.
you know, like, don't be ashamed to like look at a woman, and if she's interested, she'll look back, and if she holds that eye contact with you, then like she probably wants you to approach her. So
True.
like little stuff like that, just even before anything is said or done, you can kind of pick up on from the jump.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I agree. I think it all starts with the man. Like you start to really develop yourself. You start to really like get serious about your work and have a purpose and just work on like getting in the gym, making your money better, like just becoming a better man. Like all this stuff really becomes a lot easier and like, a lot of it just becomes kind of very natural, you'll find. So that's kind of how I'll kind of end it there, maybe kind of segue into the closing. I do got to get going, but I think this was an awesome conversation. We had a lot of great talking points, a lot of actionable things too. I think guys will really like listen to this and take some stuff away and hopefully start taking action. Hopefully start applying this stuff that we're saying. Are there any last like closing statements or anything we wanted to throw in there before kind of wrapping up?
um I guess just act and understand that you have to run towards fear. Everything worth
Mm,
doing is scary
yep.
or is going to cause some kind of rejection, but that's just you growing. And I
Yep.
guess if you want to find me, I'm at Masculinity4Men, the letter or the number four, Masculinity number four men on Instagram. Um, and yeah, I really appreciate you having me on. I really enjoyed this discussion.
Yeah, man. 100%. Me too. And I'll leave Ryan's links down below if you guys want to check them out in the comment section. So it'll be a lot easier if you want to find them. Yeah, same here, guys. If you guys want to see what I'm about, I post a lot of stuff on Instagram and TikTok lately. Haven't been doing a lot of YouTube videos besides these podcasts. But I will get back into them. But yeah, you know where to find me. My coaching, all my links are down below if you want to look into that further. But yeah, I appreciate you coming on, man. I think this was a great talk. Hopefully have you on sometime in the future. Maybe just get a second one of these down. I'd love to do that.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. So we're gonna get going. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Comment your thoughts down below. What'd you take away from this? What would you add? Maybe what else would you like me to talk about in future podcast? And make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel. You know all that YouTube stuff. So peace out, guys. We'll get going. See you guys next time.